it obstructs my sleep now, I just can't do it.
Sleep is like the number one thing.
No more
I have
mess.
to sleep. Yeah, no more crocodile. Smart.
That crocodile puts you to sleep for good.
Yeah, permanent.
Plus, I like my skin.
Smart.
You seen those documentaries though? That shit is wild.
I love that kind of stuff.
Me too.
Fascinating.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Strategy Show. First look edition, our favorite show of the week. Hopefully your favorite show of the week as well. I'm Dave Loughran at Loughran_D on the Twitters, LOUGHY_D, joined by Ben Rasa at JazzRazDFS, double Z, single Z. And I got to tell you something. I wouldn't say it was affected as much from a DFS perspective as it was from a betting standpoint last week. But you look at the NFL through 6 weeks, man. They say there's a lot of parity in the NFL, right? Parity. For those of you not familiar with the term used in this context. It's beyond parity at this point, dude. At this stage of the game, it's just you could have yourself and a monkey assigning picks to games, and it feels like sometimes, there's zero difference.
Yeah, it's a random number generator in some regards. Like, there's a couple teams that I think we know are good, and there's a couple teams that we know are bad. You get rid of them, there's 25 teams that, I really don't know. And some of those teams are like the Giants are the easiest example. Obviously, they're better than people thought. I still think there's a chance that they're not even remotely good.
I know, it's crazy, but we're happy to have you guys with us as always. This is a fun show to do. I love taking a first, cursory look at the slate and being able to figure out spots that we're looking to go to. If you're coming in after the NBA show, welcome. If you're watching this after the fact, maybe late Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever it is, welcome to you as well. Hit that thumbs up. And come on. Yeah, we got to get some work in here. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave us a rating, review, all that good stuff. If you're listening in podcast form, subscribe to the podcast. All that helps us a lot. And all the regulars right now, I see you guys in chat. Happy to have you guys here. And look, when we say it's a random number generator, it isn't that we're not going to have spots that we really like, right? Like there are. But even in that, the Giants are 5-1, man. I don't know how much of this is an indictment on Baltimore blowing late leads. I think they've trailed for like 100 seconds all season, and they've lost all 3 of those games. Like they've trailed for maybe a minute and a half all season, and they've lost those games. What do you make of that?
Nothing really. Honestly, I think it's bad luck. Now, part of it, and we talk about this over on the Odd Shopper channel and on the Odd Shop, our live betting show, where you can only say it's bad luck or variance for so long. Some teams are destined to screw things up, and Baltimore is on the cusp of, these turnovers late, things like that. The easiest example of that is the Broncos. As I have said for a while, like most people, the Broncos, it's not a coincidence that they consistently lose these type of games because they don't know what they're doing. They'll forever lose these games until they give up on this coach, which is going to be sooner rather than later, obviously. They had -9 yards passing in the second half. 3, if you include the sacks. What are you doing?
It's crazy because Wilson. I know. You want to know a spot that hasn't been variance? Keep betting the unders on these Broncos games. I talked about it on the video I did yesterday for this game on, like you said, on the Odd Shopper channel. Keep betting the unders, man. They can't score, and their defense doesn't allow teams to score. It really is. I was shocked it was at 45.5 yesterday. And sure, those games, if Wilson came out and looked okay, or he didn't. I know Hackett said he had another injury in that game. I honestly saw someone in our chat yesterday when we were on the deeper dive on this channel. They were like, he's not hurt. They're just saying this because it's embarrassing. And obviously he did just go and have like the what is it? Platelet rich plasma or something injections, the PRP injections.
Oh yeah.
But now they said he had like a hamstring or a quad injury in the second half. He was 10 for 10 at one point in the first. They just completely collapsed again. they're a terrible team. They've lost 3 straight. But I'll tell you what, man, the one team that, okay, the Bucs, I keep thinking they're going to get better. And that was shocking to me that they lost. I wouldn't have been surprised if they didn't cover that game. Sure, 8.5 in Pittsburgh. Bucs offense hasn't been particularly good, but to lose outright that's damning, because now we've got them on this slate against the Carolina Panthers, and it really makes you second guess yourself.
I'm not saying I wasn't surprised, but I will say I made a little mention, check the tape.
You did when someone super chatted asking who would be your money line, big money line dog that if you had to pick one to win. You did.
It's still we're gonna flip spots here. I know this for a fact. Like you're a little shocked at that. I'm stunned that the Packers lost.
See,
I'm I know you're not. You've been pretty adamant that they just don't look the same. Not only did
I don't
they
think
lose,
they're good.
They got handled. Like it wasn't a fluke. They got handled at home by the Jets.
I like when Ben gets fired up on teams that are just way worse than they should be.
And then
go ahead. No, please. I'm along for the ride today. Go ahead.
So we're not going to go back to Denver for a lot. I will say the props last night were just comical. I had over 19.5 completions for Russell Wilson, which was going to get there by 20 extra completions after the first quarter, and it didn't even come close. Melvin Gordon might as well not even be on the team. No. Like he went and got a hot pretzel during the game and no one even paid attention because using guys I've never heard of in the backfield. But I know I'm jumping back and forth. The Packers of the good teams, the Rams got problems. Baltimore's got some problems. Tampa's got some problems. The Packers got serious problems.
It's another reason why I can't figure the Giants out, because the Giants keep running into these teams, right? Am I wrong though?
The Giants, like everyone's like, oh, you're a huge. First of all, I'm from New York. I like the Giants. I don't think the Giants are that good. They are playing to their ceiling, and that's awesome. They're not losing games, which is half the battle. But like, how many people seriously think that maybe people do? I don't think the Giants are a relevant team.
It's a hill that I will die on, that they're not that good. But every week I just look dumber as a result, which is, it's nothing new, but they're not. It's so hard to make sense of it. The Ravens, the problem is you and I are both like, no, the Ravens are way better than they've looked, right? And then they keep proving us wrong. We're saying the Giants are worse than they look. They keep proving us wrong. Like you said, you're not shocked by the Bucs. I'm not shocked by the Packers. I don't think that offense is good. They just lost Randall Cobb, so I think they're still viable for DFS this week. We're going to jump into that right now. Marco said Giants are going to make the Super Bowl, and we're going to keep saying they're not good. Yo, if the Giants make the Super Bowl with that roster, I don't know. I might stop.
The hilarious thing is like they'll probably do that, and then everyone will be like, they got to get rid of Daniel Jones. Like no one gives him any credit. People, especially around here, but well coached is taking them far, but eventually you run into other teams that have competent coaches. Yep. And that's going to be a problem for them. But hey,
well coached.
They're winning games. That's all that matters. You win. You like look at some of these bozo teams that are 2-4. All the talent in the world. Who cares? You're 2-4.
Yeah. So all right. Last thing, Packers. They're in a lot of trouble right now. They didn't just lose, Ben. They lost at home, and what was it, 27-10? They got slapped around by the New York Jets. Props to the Jets. I think the Jets are a decent enough team, like league average team right now. They're playing good football. Breece Hall's a stud. The offensive line's doing enough. But I have to ask you, and we can dive right into it right now. Let's go to quarterbacks, Jordan, on the sidebar. I want to start with Aaron Rodgers for a second, right? Because Randall Cobb's going to be out for a while. Last week, we saw 12 targets to Robert Tonyan. We saw 9 to Alan Lazard. We saw 9 to Romeo Doubs. Can you play Aaron Rodgers right now? I won't even say with confidence, because if you're playing him, it's certainly not with confidence. Can you play Aaron Rodgers at his price point?
So can you play him at his price point? He's flat 6K. I think the answer has to still be yes, against a Washington team that is also just terrible. They're too irrelevant to even make fun of, to be honest. So I definitely think you can do that. When you look at the passing metrics, they're still in the bottom. Washington's at the bottom of the barrel with the bad teams. The question more isn't can you play him? It's is there a reason to play him? You only get one quarterback. Do you want to, I'm not going to say waste it, but do you want to use it on Aaron Rodgers? I think that's more the question at hand. And I think the answer for me is no.
I agree. Now, I do think, and yeah, Larry said it's sad that Randall Cobb being out hurts Aaron Rodgers in 2022. I know it's weird that we even say that, but it is true. That you're going to look at the options, look at the target share. It's probably going to be pretty concentrated. And then the last thing, J-Rock AZ says, people still not respecting the Giants is funny. I'll keep cashing. It's not a respect thing. I just can't wrap my head around why they're good. If you can lay out a good, other than coaching, a good reason why they're winning these games, I'm all ears. Shit, I would love for someone to help me figure it out, Ben, because I can't figure it out on my own right now.
Yeah, I mean, people who believed in the Giants are cleaning up.
Sure.
And I will say, I haven't been shorting the Giants. I just can't take myself to bet them in these spots.
No, we did back the Ravens this week, though.
Yeah, the Ravens, but that's not because of the Giants.
Exactly.
I have a leak with the Ravens, clearly.
So
that's another story. And luck, you know what? We're not going to go backwards, and they're not on the slate, so they won't get the full, whatever you want to call this. The Cardinals are another Ponzi scheme. That guy needs to go. That guy, Cliff Kingsbury. Just go back to, oh my God. They are, come on. Seattle's defense.
Dude, I know. I mean,
you got to be kidding me.
I know. What'd they have? 0 touchdowns, right?
They
no, they had one. Did they have one?
I don't know. Their biggest play of the game was in garbage time, and they got Hollywood Brown out for the year because of it. Like that was the biggest accomplishment they had on the field. They have no idea what they're doing. They made Seattle's defense look like the Legion of Boom, legitimately. Like they could not move the ball. Pathetic. They're not on the slate though. They're irrelevant.
They're bad. And guess what? We're gonna be talking about a lot of the teams that we don't want to talk about, and that's okay. Arizona, New Orleans, Thursday night too. What?
The buys are amazing teams this week.
Who's on a buy?
You got the Rams are on a bye, the Bills are on a bye, the Vikings are on a bye, and somebody else good is on a bye. I don't have it in front of me. But it's teams that you would want to target.
I don't know if I'd call the Rams.
The Eagles are on a bye.
Eagles are on a bye. Yes, the Eagles are on a bye as well.
That's what I'm saying. Those are 4 top-end teams.
Yeah, with a lot of players that we're rostering each week too. So
exactly.
All right, let's talk about quarterbacks. This is a weird week at quarterback. I'll tell you what. Oh, and last thing I wanted to say, no idea what to do with the Colts anymore because Matt Ryan just went out. He led the league in sacks, interceptions, and fumbles. Comes out, throws 58 times, right? 58 times and lights the world on fire against Jacksonville. 389 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. They dropped 34 points. So explain that one away. Why don't you? And are you going to play him this week against Tennessee?
I'm not joking. He almost had more attempts than Wentz had yards. Wentz only had 99 yards passing. Like
wow.
He had 58. Like what are we doing here? It's such a volume thing. Like any quarterback, if you throw the ball that much, just ridiculous. Now they're not at home here in a divisional game. The price is good. Clearly, if he gets there, you're going to stack him with like 2 or 3. It's that type of situation. But man, this is a weird, like, because I know we're not going to keep going back, but like Mariota and those type of players as well are down there. When I look at this is the first week at quarterback. I am very interested at guys at every level. The last couple of weeks, I've said, give me the top 3, and then there's a huge drop. I think it's very incremental this week from Lamar and Mahomes into the mid ranges with like Brady and those guys into the cheapies with Ryan and Mariota, maybe even, I don't know, somebody else that I'm not really thinking of. You have salary guys at every level. You do, but limited amounts, in my opinion. There's it's limited. Yeah. Let's be clear. I'll be shocked if the chalkiest quarterback this week is not a $7,200 Justin Herbert. Yeah, because again, all we learned last week is not that Seattle's defense is good. It's that Arizona has disgraced themselves. Like Seattle's defense sucks.
They're not good.
No.
We've seen that time and time again. They're not good. Justin Herbert, that's the first. How funny is this too? DraftKings ran one of those odds boosts. It was minus 800.
Oh yeah, I bet that last night.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it was $25 max, so it doesn't matter. But I remember I was actually at the vet taking my dog there, and I see that, and I was like, yeah, I'll take a free couple bucks. Why not? They boosted it to even money. But as I placed that bet, I'm like, I bet Herbert does not throw a touchdown today. It was like the first time in 34 games or something.
It was, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that I'm sure, yeah, DraftKings is laughing all the way to the bank. But in this spot with that, and there's a lot of discussion about their coach. Say what you want about him, but he's going to give you extra equity every time you roster his players because he's not kicking the ball and they throw the ball all over the place.
You see, I said they've gone for it on fourth down like 30% of the time this year.
Good. I'm all about that.
I love how everybody wants to rail on on Staley for they're like, oh, they're at the Broncos 40 and they're going for it on 4th and 2. You better. Yeah. You're at your own 40 against that Broncos offense. I'm going for it on 4th and 2. I mean, that might be a stretch, but you get what I'm saying. Like against bad offenses, go for it. Put them to bed. They couldn't, but they should have. But this is such a better matchup. Again, don't look at you have to separate the Broncos defense and the Broncos offense. Their defense is very, very good. Very good. It's the only reason they haven't lost every single game this season, honestly. So I'm looking at Justin Herbert. I know he'll be popular. It's hard not to really like him this week, even with Simone. So I think there's plenty of ways to get different elsewhere.
What do you make of, because I couldn't agree more, but Joe Burrow off a big time game, quietly, Cincinnati's getting it together. Nice, impressive comeback. It was good for me. I bet Cincinnati. I was lucky to cover that number. At home against Atlanta, same price range. I think that Burrow is going to make a pretty strong contender. I agree it's Herbert over Burrow, but I think people will go to Burrow off the big game as well.
I like him too. I will say I've been impressed with Atlanta's defense, the ability to make plays, but I still don't think they're good. I think, the ceiling on that Atlanta defense is probably still league average. They did bolster their secondary a bit though. But I like Burrow here. Atlanta's can you not say though, Atlanta's an insanely impressive team. I'm not saying talent-wise, say what they've been able to do this season. They're pretty impressive, right?
They remind me of the Giants.
Yeah.
They're maximizing what I think is a pretty low ceiling all in all. And that's a credit to them. That's not a knock. Like, right. A team like that, when they go up against really good teams who are at full strength, I worry about them, but I love what they do. I'm a huge Mariota fan, and I just like the way this team plays. They've got something going right now in Atlanta.
What about Mahomes? He's facing San Francisco.
But they're banged up. You called that on the odd show. They are not the same defense right now.
Not at all. No. Now we have to see who's out, but we saw how many guys they lost last week, and there's no doubt it affected them. Right. Of course, they're playing 2 East Coast road games in a row. I get that. They stayed there, though. They didn't travel home and come back. But you lost Mosley for the year. We don't know if Bosa's going to play. Armstead's going to be questionable. Ward, both Wards. They have a lot of question marks on this defense right now that I would certainly be a lot more inclined to look towards Patrick Mahomes if this defense is as banged up or close to as banged up as they were last week.
Yeah, I get it. And, it's Mahomes, tough loss last week. It's not the easiest situation, but I do want to ask you before we kind of go to lower ranges and then ultimately move on. Will you take the plunge on Dak? That's going to be an interesting discussion point all week.
I probably will. And
I don't think I will.
I'll probably have some Ezekiel Elliott too, or at least Tony Pollard. I do truly believe in my heart of hearts that this Detroit Lions defense, I know what you've said, like they can't continue to be that bad. I get it, but not continuing to be that bad is still really bad. Like they're never going to be a good defense this year.
No.
I do think the Dallas Cowboys will score points. And here, let me tell you why I might be willing to take shots on this Dallas team. You saw on Sunday, before Lane Johnson got hurt, that Eagles, they turned Micah Parsons into, David Blaine. He just disappeared, right? He had one pressure all game. Lane Johnson went out with a concussion. After halftime, you could see that that right tackle spot couldn't hold up. They're overloading. They're bringing pressure. Looked a little bit different. Eagles had to figure it out. Novel concept. They started running the ball in the fourth quarter. Look what happened. But what I'm saying is, with Dallas, their pass rush, that defensive line really is good. When they're not facing arguably the best offensive line in the Eagles, they're going to get to players. Now, Detroit has a good offensive line, but we saw how they performed outside of that dome against the Patriots. I know they're coming back from a bye. There's a good chance, though, that the Dallas Cowboys have a huge advantage in time of possession this week.
I don't disagree. I'm trying to really think about how many scenarios off the injury does Dak get into like a crazy game with the Lions here? I think that's more the exception to the rule. It's a healthy total, and I don't mind targeting Dallas. I just don't know if both these teams cooperate to the extent where the stack is what I want. Like,
I get that, but I'm saying I want pieces of Dallas.
I want pieces of Dallas. I'm more saying like Dak and CD Lamb and skinny stack, or Dak and CD Lamb and Noah Brown or a tight end, an actual stack with a run back.
I agree.
I don't really like that.
I agree. And one of the other reasons I agree is because paying $7,100 for Amon-Ra St. Brown in this spot is doesn't feel great as a run back. I'm not saying you can't do it, but that's the guy I'm going to if I run it back. I don't want to run it back with like just Hawkinson, but yeah, that price is a little bit weird for sure. But I'm with you. Though, CeeDee Lamb, having some of him, having some Elliott or Pollard. Like I honestly think you would agree, this Detroit run defense is putrid.
That's the problem, I think, because they might just get gashed on the ground.
Yeah. I think Dallas runs the ball a lot.
Yeah, that's the plan. That doesn't help Dak at all.
No. We're on the same page. I just took it to a different place. Yeah, I'm with you though. What about Lamar against Cleveland though?
Yes.
Okay.
Sign me up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he can just, again, he does things. I said it last week, and then of course, just in peak everything, I'm like, he's the only one that can get the 100-yard bonus. Kyler got 100 yards and he was still terrible because, again, not a real team. But of all the real teams, Lamar does things that no one else can do on the ground. Big game at home. Cleveland's defense a mess. Sign me up for Lamar.
Bailey Zappi just threw for 300 yards against them. 300
That
yards.
guy's good.
You think so?
No, not really. But I'm not that, being completely serious, I'm not super stunned to see him be okay from college. I seen him play a lot in a gimmicky offense, but we've seen guys like that. Case Keenum comes from that type of offense. Guys that can really sling it can have some success.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm also in agreement here on Lamar. I wouldn't be shocked if he's not that popular either.
Really?
I don't think he's going to be that popular. You think he's going to be super chalky?
I do.
Really?
I do. Yeah. I think he might be the second most popular quarterback.
Okay.
I hope I'm wrong. I mean, the tools here at Stokastic will tell the tale, but I'm interested to see how that shakes out as we get closer to Sunday.
Now that I look at it, you might be right, because while you did say there's some in the mid-range and some in the low tier, those are viable plays, but not chalky plays at all. So I actually, let me take that back. I think you're going to be right here. Herbert, Jackson, might be Burrow next.
Yeah, Burrow. That's what I would think.
And I think maybe you might see a lot of people go to Dak. And if they do, I think that's an easy stay away spot and just go to the ground.
Agree.
All right. What about Brady?
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. I mean, they're a huge favorite. Carolina's awful. They're not going to put pressure on him. It's everything that you want. So I would click him before I click Aaron Rodgers. But I think for me, give me Derek Carr before I click either of them.
So, yeah, Derek Carr is the only low tier player that I have even written down. I don't have anybody other than Derek Carr down here in the sub 6K range. Do you have anybody else? You have Mariota, but he threw 14 times last game.
No, Mariota, I've tried this. It doesn't work. And it's even worse because they're winning. I've said this a lot. Like if Atlanta was getting killed, they'd probably have to change it up. This is their ideal playbook. Now, if he's going to run for 50 yards and a touchdown, it'll be just fine. But you can't really bank on that. Boy.
It's very ugly.
What about, what's his name? What about Taylor Heineke? It is him, right?
Yeah, it should be. For those,
I don't think you need
Carson
to do
Wentz
that.
Is out indefinitely. I probably stay away from that. I was considering Brian Robinson because the Packers' run defense is just terrible, and the only issue there is that Robinson, I don't think he's going to get any targets, and you're going to have to rely on everything on the ground. I loved Breece Hall last week because no matter what the game script is, no matter if they're up or down, he's going to be involved. You know, 20 carries last week. He's the guy now for sure. Brian Robinson is going to be the guy on the ground, but I don't know if there's really anything we can do through the air. I guess what I'm saying is I'd rather target the ground there, but Washington to me looks pretty ugly. Although, because the Packers pass defense still isn't bad. Like I don't want us to, miss the forest for the trees. Their pass defense still isn't that bad. They still have a lot of good players in that secondary. So maybe that's where I'm a little hesitant to get to Heineke.
I don't have a ton else to say. For me, I'm ready to kind of turn the page on it. Yeah, Geno Smith in that game. If you wanted to go there, I wouldn't. Nothing stands out. It feels appropriately priced, not excluding it, not drawn there either.
Want to talk running backs?
Here we go.
All right, top three quarterbacks though, without ownership, but with the understanding that we have a good idea where ownership will be on some of these guys. Your top three tournament quarterbacks so far on a Tuesday.
Lamar. I mean, it's not really doing anything special. Lamar, Derek Carr, and then Herbert.
Okay. I'll throw Mahomes in there in the event that San Francisco defense is beat up. That could be shocking. And you might still see ownership a little bit suppressed on that because people just see San Francisco and don't want to click. All right, let's talk running backs. Before we do though, Ben, guess what MGM just brought back for NBA, baby?
I know it. You know why? Because I did it this morning on my videos. It's everywhere, but we want to make sure that you guys hear about it. The no-brainer is back again.
It's free money. That's all.
Free money.
Free money. If you're not at MGM yet, it doesn't even matter if you're not huge into betting. You take free money whenever it offers itself to you, right? Like whenever you see there were times where there'd be, huge contests on DFS with free money, all that dried up. You have your free rolls now, but it's like 1K up top, 100,000 people. There's nothing like that out there. You remember when they used to have like legitimate good free roll contests.
For sure.
They're gone.
Yes.
Betting, however, kind of expanding. It's blowing up, becoming legal in these places. And they're going to give people free money to come over and play on their sites, just like DFS sites were doing back in 2013 and 2014. BetMGM tonight, NBA kicks off. This will be the same tomorrow, though, if you're watching on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever. All you have to do, use the link in the description or the one, Jordan, throw one in the chat right now for the live viewers. Link in the description or in chat. Click that, sign up at BetMGM. Put $10 in, deposit $10. That's it. If you want to do more, you can. Only has to be $10 though. And put it on any basketball team to win tonight. They don't have to win. The only thing that has to happen is any team hits a three-pointer. Not even in that game. I think it's just any team on the day. So it's
not that it matters, but
not that it matters. Not that it matters. It's a lock to win. You're taking $10. You're getting 200 on the other end, no matter what. You still get paid out on your bet if it wins. So maybe dabble in some dogs or something. put yourself in a good spot in both ways. There's no reason not to do it. The way I see it is, look, you lose, you say you get your $200, you lose, you go on a horrible street, a run, just bad beats left and right. At the end of the day, you're down $10. You'll never remember it even happened. You go on a heater and you're up 4 or 5 figures. And now not only do you have a huge bankroll to work with, but you also have another book that you can get the odds with that you're not getting at with the 1 or 2 books that you're at. So $10 into 200, links in the description and the pinned comment or in the chat. Just click the link, deposit $10. When you sign up, put that 10 on any NBA team to win and wake up to $200. I'd say it sounds pretty good, Ben.
It is. Last thing I'll say, and Larry pointed this out in chat. At the top of the show, we were talking about that Herbert boost. I was like, well, you have to bet it. You have to. And those can lose, and they're great bets. This year, you cannot lose. You will get $200 if you do this correctly. It's not even like a boost. This is legitimately a $200 bonus just for signing up over there and betting that NBA money line.
Yep. I think you can't do it in New York, PA, or Missouri, though.
You can do it in New York for sure, but
PA, Missouri too.
Check it out though. At least go and see if your state is valid and take a shot.
It's $200 for free. That's all. Check it out. BetMGM. All right, running backs. Let's go. Top of the running back position, very interesting as well. Austin Eckler, 8,300, 16 targets last night.
Yeah,
16 targets. He's very expensive, but I think rightfully so against Seattle. It's difficult to look at this team, the Seattle defense, and the Chargers at home and not think that Eckler can't have himself another heck of a day.
So my first thought on running back, because I agree with that, but I don't think I've ever seen this. Not that I track things like this, but the pricing, 8,400, 8,300, 8,200, 8,100, 8K, 7,900, 77, 76. Like it's literally $100 increments basically as you go up from like the first 8 players.
Very odd.
What a weird situation. So you're basically just choosing best available. You know, you got to look at the ownership as well, but you're not getting a price discount from, you know, McCaffrey to Eckler or Eckler to Henry or Henry to Chubb, anything like that.
Do you like McCaffrey there?
I do. I mean, everyone was like, oh, what are they going to do with him? He looked fine. And that game was a mess at home. Going to have around, I think he's in line again for what he's been getting, which is around 20 total touches with around half of them or a third of them being receptions. That seems pretty good to me.
Yeah.
As long as they don't trade him. They're going to trade him at some point, but I don't, do you think that they care? Like,
no. You got to keep using him.
Yeah, that's not.
Although that is actually, could they limit his workload, being that he's on the trade block and they're listening to offers?
So my thoughts on that are this: could they? Yes, they didn't last week. The coach just got fired. The new guy, I assume, is not just thinking like, you know what I want to do? Limit my best player who we're about to trade away so I lose all the games as the interim coach. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I'm sure he's trying to win.
That's true.
I'm going to approach it as if, unless I get news, I'm approaching it like it's all systems go.
Yeah, and we probably would get news on something like that.
Yeah.
Like if Wilkes decides not to, if he does decide to, you know, pump the brakes on McCaffrey, that's going to be a decision from the top. There's no doubt. You know,
he's not going to do it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right. It's not going to be his call. I think we'll know about that. I think you like McCaffrey a little bit more than I do. The touchdown equity here is just, it's so minimal on such a bad team. I'm not saying he can't score. I just don't know how many of those multi-touchdown games you're going to get. Is there, let me ask you this. Let's do something a little different. Of those players that drop in $100 increments, it's McCaffrey down to Aaron Jones. Then you get $600 of separation between him and Mixon, right?
Yep.
Are there any of them that you're just kind of, and I say this, I'm using this light. Are there any of these guys that you're kind of just ruling out at their price points? Maybe you have some of them, but you're just not really interested in them. Because Aaron Jones is one of those guys for me until they can fix this offense. In my opinion, he's just too if I get burnt by that rogue once a season 4 touchdown game from Aaron Jones, so be it. But at that price point, the offense and his workload are not living up to paying almost 8K for him right now. That's where I'm at.
I'd agree. I'm not gonna say completely ruling out, but I'm not interested if I can find ownership that's somewhat even. I think Saquon's got a really tough matchup. I know Jacksonville has done some stupid things like losing to the Texans. Going on the road and taking on this Jacksonville team, we know he's going to be busy, but that's not an easy situation. And he's found the end zone in a couple games straight, but he hasn't tapped into the ceiling. He's giving you decent outputs. I think that's more of what we see, and that might be generous in this spot. So Saquon, especially if he's popular, I would look elsewhere this week.
Okay, I don't disagree. Chris Carnahan said Aaron Jones is 68 on FanDuel. That's noise. Yeah, 68
Better.
on FanDuel, way different than 76 on DraftKings. One that really, I also Nick Chubb, as good as Nick Chubb is, as good as he's been, I don't know how much I love that at 8K either.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Chubb, the problem is they're 6.5 point dogs. If they don't cover or they're losing, it's almost impossible for him to get there. Like, look at the game last week. He had 12 carries. He just,
Right.
you can't really get there at 8K on 12 carries because he's not going to convert them into targets. He had 2 targets as opposed to like 1. It doesn't do anything when they're losing. He's just non-existent.
Derrick Henry's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he's back to he seems like he's back to the Derrick Henry that we can at least trust a little bit here. I still don't think we can rely on pass catching volume, but 3 straight really solid games in a row. He is expensive, but at home against Indy, what's the total on that game? Probably like 44, 42 and a half.
Yeah, 42.5, and it's juiced to the under.
Yeah, they're 2.5 point favorites.
I think it's
Who
fine.
of the top tier guys are your favorites then?
The top 2, definitely. McCaffrey and Eckler. And it's not that big a deal for me to say that because the top 2 versus the next 2 it's a $200 difference. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So,
do you play Taylor if he's active?
I don't think so. Only because he's a volume-based player, and it does seem like the Colts maybe are now they all got Q tags. I don't know how hurt Deion Jackson is, but before he was injured, they seemed pretty content to get him the ball, particularly through the air. So, and there's a lot of we haven't got to the Josh Jacobs of the world. There's some big time names in really good spots.
Josh Jacobs is we'll get to him. I want to get to one more guy towards the top first. Leonard Fournette, despite this offense stalling on, countless drives, I love what I see in him. You say, Rachaad White, sure, he's getting a little bit of opportunity there, but Leonard Fournette has 16 receptions over his last 2 games. He's 35 carries and 16 receptions over his last 2 games. They're and he hasn't exactly been effective on the ground, but they're finding ways to get him the football. And to me, that's always going to be enticing. Volume for me, even if the team isn't playing that well, is huge. And what's more important than anything else, you could go, what'd you just say about Nick Chubb? What were you and Ben saying about? Yeah, but they're 6-point dogs, right? Big difference. This is a Baltimore team against Cleveland that while they haven't looked great, they can still score points. I have no confidence at all that the Carolina Panthers can sustain multiple scoring drives and put themselves in a position to go ahead. Now, Pittsburgh did it last week against Tampa Bay, but Fournette still had like 27 touches. So I like the projected game script a lot more for Leonard Fournette here.
He's way, in my opinion, it's not even close. He's way more game script proof. If Cleveland falls behind, Chubb's done. If for some reason Carolina crushes them, Fournette will just get a lot of work through the air. And that's not going to happen. But even if it did, Chubb has no path to 7 to 10 targets. He has 0 path there. Fournette could easily do that and they could lose and he would be fine.
Have you looked at the line on this game? If you haven't yet, don't look.
The Tampa game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it at like 10.5.
Yeah, it's at 11.
Carolina, again, they're in the Washington bucket. I'm not going to make fun of them because they're too irrelevant to make fun of. They're just
11 though, with the way this Bucks team, it's not. If you had to bet it right now, would you lay the points on the Bucks on the road?
Probably.
You would. Okay.
They're just. I mean, I'm not going to bet that game. Carolina. It's not working. They just shipped off Robbie Anderson. Not that he was doing a lot, but they're in like straight.
Yeah.
We have nothing going on mode.
They have a 15-point implied total this week. Crazy.
That's the big knock on McCaffrey. You already pointed that out. Like his chance to score versus these other backs is significantly lower.
Yeah. Unless he breaks one. Like, you're probably going to need to break one or two. All right. Josh Jacobs.
Yes.
You know, he's taken a lot of heat in the DFS community, pretty much everywhere, but he's looked awesome lately. And not only has he looked good on the ground, he's getting opportunities through the air. I mean, this is probably, just from an efficiency standpoint, overall production, the best 2-game stretch of the guy's career. And he's playing 89 and 81% of snaps over the last 2 games.
He might be the highest owned player on the slate. That's I do. He's in a kill spot. He's playing amazing. They're at home. They're big time favorites, nearly a touchdown. They're playing a Houston defense that can't stop the run, over 5 yards allowed per attempt. The volume is there. The opportunity is there. He can catch the ball, and for some reason they fall behind. Price is too cheap. It just seems like he's going to be very popular, but it's a very good spot.
I really like him this way. You're right. And it is a popular spot. No denying that. But the Texans are another team that can't really sustain an offense.
Yeah, they're awful. So
Jacobs is probably going to see ample opportunity again. He's just looked very, very good. He's looked his decision-making behind the line of scrimmage has looked far better, right? A lot more decisive. He's exploding out of the hole. It just, I don't know. Again, that Kansas City game, I know you saw the same thing. It wasn't just getting lucky runs. He actually looked really good.
He's a good player. I kind of always have liked him a little bit, and it's good to see him starting to really tear off some big runs. But this is just a really good spot. A lot of things came together at the same time here.
What else are you looking at in the 6K range? You have Pierce again in the same game at 6,400. Breece Hall at Denver, tough spot, but I just want to talk about that in the event that, you know, he starts getting more pass catching work like we've seen in other games where they're not playing with the lead. Zeke at 6K. Anybody stand out here to you?
Not really. It's tough. You're starting to get into either tough matchups in Denver. Zeke and Tony Pollard are like one of the worst. It seems like both of them really are going to get decent amount of work no matter what. I find myself going lower once I get into this range. Edwards-Helaire is just like a guy, great offense, a lot of access to touchdowns, but they ride the hot hand more than most. So I don't have a ton to say with the rest of the 6K range.
All right, let's talk down in the and hit the thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. I know it's basketball, but we're still here. We're still talking football. Greatest sport out there. The lower range, I'm just going, what's that?
That's hockey, but go ahead.
Stop.
Hockey's great. I know you secretly love hockey.
Well, I do. I play hockey every week.
Oh, good.
But
play the greatest sport.
And I love playing hockey. I used to love watching hockey religiously. I watched it more than any other sport. I just fell out of it. I think what happened was, you know, you start doing like DFS content and everything too. And for a while I was doing basketball, football, and baseball. You don't really have time to pay attention to it anymore. I know you do. But you have your brain is odd in the sense that you just can compartmentalize stuff and remember, you know, everything and be able to put it together.
That's true. Car racing is the best sport. My friend, I know you remember the team. I don't agree with that. Not a fan of car racing.
I have zero interest in it.
I like horse racing.
Is car racing a sport?
I mean, it infringes a little bit. I'll go with yes, but
I mean, I know it's very difficult.
Well, yeah, a lot of things are difficult. So is juggling. It's not labeled a sport.
I'm a sick juggler.
Poker's not a sport.
but it's
I don't
tough.
think. It's
Right.
a game.
Right.
It can be fun, but it's not a game.
What about esports?
Esports. Well, it's in the name.
But you know that
I bet it like it's a sport. I lost money on it today like it was a sport.
I look, you can attribute a name to anything, right? I mean, North Korea is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
That's one way to get your point across. That is true.
It's a very solid point, I think.
But this is what I'm talking about. This is why, like, if you think racing isn't a sport, you should try it sometime. It can be incredibly difficult and not be a sport. I'm sure it's insanely difficult. Like,
yeah, I could try and learn quantum mechanics, and I would fail 10 times out of 10. It doesn't mean it's a sport.
Chess, not a sport. I do love chess. Stratego, a great game,
Right.
not a sport. These are
But
games.
Right. Difficulty level.
That's nothing to do with that.
It's not the deciding factor on whether something's a
like
sport.
Bowling, I think, is the gray area. To me, that's the biggest flip, 50-50 type thing.
It's a sport. There's a ball involved.
You need a ball?
I think having a ball or, some type of moving object is definitely would definitely put you in a position to get closer to sport than not sport. Right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing that's difficult, again, these are all very legitimate points, but there's a lot of things that are physically demanding. Like chess is physically demanding. People may not think that poker is physically demanding. I still don't think they're sports.
Why? Because what do you mean physically demanding?
Like if you're in good shape, you will be better at those. Like really, really good chess players are in amazing shape.
Really?
That's the thing. Yeah. Poker, it helps to be in good shape.
Alex said, what about martial arts? Martial arts is a sport.
Oh,
Again,
that's a sport.
I'm not saying you have to have a ball or a puck or whatever, but if you do, it's probably going to be classified.
Long poker sessions, chess, those things. It's just like I would assume car racing. You don't need to be in shape. You could, if you can fit in the car, you could press the pedal, but it would help. I'm sure.
I don't know if that's true. I feel like you have to be in.
You should be, but it's just like chess. You don't need to be in shape, but to play at a high level, it would help.
But you're right, though. If you're morbidly obese, you're not fitting through the window of a car.
That's true. All these things.
Like you're not getting
even
in.
Bowling. Wow, bowling. I don't know.
Sweat like crazy though in those cars.
Yeah, they say you lose something that doesn't make sense. They take it to the extremes. Like, oh, you lose 130 pounds in one race. Well, I doubt that's true. That doesn't make any sense. You have to be in good shape because there's no way your body can put up with those demands. Yeah. Like think about it. If you're sweating grease, and you're one of those, you're right. Like you're crashing that car. Yeah. See, and not because the grease burns your eyes either. Ghetto Farmer Boy understands. What about pool or darts? That's the gray area. I think those are all games. They do have balls. Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't consider pool a sport though. You see that you can't. Yeah, but there's exceptions to every rule. I don't even know what your rule is. You didn't even make a rule. You just said there was exceptions. No, what rule? Generally speaking, if a ball is involved, it's a sport. Hunting is not a sport. Oh, even though people say I hunt for sport, so maybe it is. Yeah, this is tough. Ping pong. See, this is the problem. All this stuff. F1 is a sport. I agree. Don't get it twisted. All right. What about swimming? What? Yeah, swimming is a sport. Yeah. Yeah, it's an activity too, but swimming, running, throwing the spear, hobby. What, javelin? Yeah, javelin. Pole vaulting is insane. Disc golf, definitely a sport. I'm actually, little known fact about me. If I had to play a random sport for my life against someone, it would 100% be disc golf. Any activity that 99% of people do while stoned out of their mind is not a sport. What? Disc golf. No, that doesn't. All right, for real though, how many people get ripped up before they I mean that is true. You see some characters. Yeah, I know. Straight character where you're just like, this person 100% it's a Westworld person. Like they're just an extra in my life. There's no way like they go home and have their own life. They're just there to make it more descriptive for me.
Yeah, Jojo. But by the way, just to go back real quick, the fact that you're throwing the spear is
whatever. Some of these things have stupid names. It's just spears.
It's the javelin toss, right?
Yeah, javelin. Are jockeys athletes? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. They're little miniature athletes.
Yeah, tiny people, but they're very, very good at what they do.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going here. That got off the rails, but I think we hit on most of the running backs, so we could make a smooth transition. Oh no, I got a couple cheap guys.
What about ETN?
What's up?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I jumped the gun. I said ETN is kind of interesting today.
Yeah, he is. I know. It feels like with the direction with Jacksonville slipping backwards, doesn't it kind of feel like Travis Etienne breakout game is looming?
It should have been last week, but it wasn't. He was so close. And I think he's going to start to take over more and more. It's a really good matchup. Say what you want. The Giants are great, but they are allowing 5.6 yards per rush attempt. That would be last in the league. So I think that Etienne's got real opportunity.
Ken Walker's another one that I'm very uncertain here, because if they fall behind early, I just don't know if he can do enough in the passing game. But Chargers defense, run defense is horrible.
It's along with the Giants that bad. He was impressive, but I'm a little skeptical only because of how inept Arizona is in all facets. And what happens when they lose, as you mentioned. Like, that was a perfect game for him in the sense of the script.
It makes it difficult because, right, that was perfect. Honestly, I will have some Tony Pollard here. I think he might, to some extent, slip through the cracks, or not even slip through the cracks, but I think you could see some split ownership on Zeke and Pollard to make it where you're going to be real pissed if you have the wrong one, but one of these guys could have an absolute monster game.
Yeah, I think down here, that's what you kind of have to draw to. You're not going to find everything that you want, volume, matchup, role, skill, but there's some paths to big games down in the lower ranges, and I plan to attack it.
I do as well. I think that's all I have. I mentioned Brian Robinson. I just have real concerns that all of his production will have to be on the ground, and he's not going to get any of the pass catching work, where there are some other cheaper backs that I think offer us at least some bit of upside in the passing game. I don't see it with Robinson this week.
I tend to agree.
All right. Anybody else?
I say it every week. Some injuries will pop up. Some guys will get, the Benjamins of the world. Like, not that worked, but that type of discussion is more suited for Sunday.
Okay. Hey, prizepicks.com. If you guys want up to $100 first match, this is like the show of free money. If you want up to $100 first match deposit bonus over at PrizePicks, especially for those of you guys that aren't in legal betting states, can't use the BetMGM promos. PrizePicks, what a perfect spot to do it. And you want a free month, entirely free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum is $120 value. Sign up at PrizePicks. It's a sick platform to begin with. It's not just like, oh, you get free stuff and a free month and you have to play at a horrible place. No, PrizePicks is blowing up right now. All you're doing is building lineups with props. There's no juice on either side, just the over or the under. And they have so many of them for a million different sports. And if you wanted to, when you're building these lineups, you can take college football, NFL, NBA, MLB. You can mix them all into one. It doesn't all have to be one sport. So you have unlimited options almost to build these lineups. If you hit 5 of 5, you're 10xing your entry. If you hit 4 of 5, unlike traditional parlays, traditional books, where if you hit 4 of 5, you're toast, you're still getting 2x. You're getting money back on 3 of 5 as well. Really sustain and build a bankroll at PrizePicks. No doubt about it. We have the tools to get you through it. On top of that, Odds Shopper, the player projections, we have tools catered to exactly what you're looking for here to find all of the best stuff. And those are free. And like I said, 1 free month of a Stokastic Plus Platinum. Everything on the site, not just football, every tool for every single sport. And you get $100 first match deposit bonus when you sign up using the link in the description or the one in the chat that Jordan can toss into there now. Again, it's just take advantage of the free money. Plus, sweet site to play on. It's a cool site. And we get a lot of screenshots recently on the Stokastic Hall of Fame, people pulling down big prize picks money. And I love to see it. Prizepicks.com. Download the app as well. App Store, Google Play Store, wherever it is you play, whatever type of device you may have. All right, wide receiver. Adams, Chase, Debo, Pittman, Mike Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are your 6 guys north of 7K on DraftKings. Where do you start?
It's a little more spread out in terms of, the price points, obvious attachments. Mike Williams, if you're going to go to a lot of Herbert, you're going to want him included. If Matt Ryan's going to throw the ball 60 times, Pittman, who I really liked coming into the year, and then I didn't keep buying, which was disappointing in myself, to go to him. I mean, Chase is Chase. Adams is Adams. I guess for me, I'm trying not to say, okay, if I play the quarterback, it's pretty obvious. I'm going to play their correlated alpha. If I don't play, say I play Lamar, or say I play insert quarterback that's not one of these guys, who's the one-off for me? I think it's Pittman or Chase, but I could be persuaded. The one guy I didn't mention is Debo, and I know that he's just unbelievable. I worry still about he's the only guy where his touches are so in flux. It's hard to really know, and the rushes don't help as much.
You have no idea what it's going to look like each week. I'm so tempted to get to Debo because this might be one of those scenarios where the Niners really are playing from behind and Shanahan has to not abandon the rush, but not lean on it 25 times a game. But you're right. It's still very difficult. Debo can have those huge games. He can also just as easily give you the 12, 13, 14 fantasy point game that at that price isn't going to get you there. He seems a little overpriced.
He does, again, for tournaments, millies, that's somewhat enticing, but he does feel a little overpriced just given the situations. And I look around, you got 4 guys, a double, 2 above, 2 below, that all check out on a lot of different levels. So that is how I'm kind of approaching that. Gonna have to roll the dice somewhere.
CeeDee Lamb, one-off in the pass catches for Dallas. I'm all in. I will go back to Mike Evans. There's still that 2 touchdown upside. I still like Lamb for sure more than Evans, but I get it. There's a couple down here. Keenan Allen, if he's active against Seattle, that makes sense. Mike Williams obviously makes sense, especially if Keenan Allen's out. It's going to be popular, but we've seen some chalky lineups with 1 or 2 differentiation spots win the Millie this season multiple times. I still love the Chargers stack here until Seattle proves me wrong against a competent team, unlike Arizona, as Ben so astutely pointed out earlier. And then I'm going to give you a couple guys here that just to move around. As bad as the Packers have been, and as bad as I think this offense is, I will probably still have some shares of Romeo Doubs and Alan Lazard because Rodgers is still going to have to throw and Cobb is out. So it's basically at this point, you're looking at pretty limited options in the passing game. What do you make of the mid-range?
Yeah, the mid-range is filled with those type of guys who are either on teams that are a little messed up or just not prevalent, maybe second options, like Cortland Sutton. He's on the dysfunctional Broncos. You got Kirk for Jacksonville, who's been very quiet. Cooks, probably a run back in some of the car stacks. I think that's where you'll see most of his ownership. It'll probably attach to a guy like Devontae Adams. But these are really where you're going to be landing. I think an interesting name is Amari Cooper. He had 12 targets in 2 straight games. Hasn't been efficient. They're a mess, but they could and easily should be trailing. 6,100. Maybe you go Lamar Andrews, Amari.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting.
That is actually pretty interesting. Baltimore's secondary has not been, and they've dealt with injuries. They have not been great. I can get behind that for sure. And when our ownership comes out, we'll see where these guys are coming in at. When the boom bust tool is updated, the top stacks tool. I can't wait to see what the top stacks tool looks like this week.
It's going to be fascinating.
Right? For this slate. You can get it for $1 a day too, Ben. Did you know that?
I actually didn't, not even just saying I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that.
Sure you did. The hardwood promo, $10. Oh no, because you've been doing a lot of odd shopper stuff.
I did not know that.
You got the biggest.
I'm going to listen to this along with everyone else because I actually don't know what you're talking about.
We have our biggest promo of the year going right now. hardwood, not hardwood.
Okay, I remember that part.
Oh yeah, you were here Sunday. You were here. Yeah, you were with me. But hardwood, all caps, all one word. It's $10 for 10 days. It's $1 a day. Every tool on the site. It's good till the 25th. Crazy not to take advantage of this. Every tool for every single sport. Not Fantasy Cruncher. We don't own Fantasy Cruncher. We just host it on the site. But we have the new NFL lineup generator where you can now download and export up to 20 lineups. We have it for NBA. I'm using that tonight. I told you before the show. I was like, I haven't done enough NBA research yet. I got to start tomorrow morning when I actually have some time. I'm using the new NBA lineup generator tonight for sure. I'm pretty excited about that, actually.
Listen, $10. Come on now. For 10 days. After that, if you say I checked out your tools and I'm gonna go my separate way, okay. A couple, wipe your hands, a bacon, egg, and cheese. No harm, no foul.
Yeah, bacon, egg, and cheese around where you live is probably $10.
Yeah, a little chicken cutlet on it.
Yeah, exactly. Sauce. But no, awesome promo. We'd love to have you guys check these tools out. If you don't like it, wash your hands clean of it, but I think you will. Especially best time to do it. Football, baseball still in swing, NBA. You got a PGA show coming up, so I guess PGA is still happening.
Absolutely. There's some good tournaments there, and all the work we do with college sports, college basketball will be here soon enough. A lot of big things. And now I'm reading, we're not going back to this conversation, but ski ballet apparently is a thing.
I've heard that. By the way, link is in the description and in the chat. Yeah, I've never heard of ski ballet. I have no idea.
Apparently it was in the Olympics, but I would just tell people a lot of things have been in the, like architecture has been in the Olympics. So let's not get crazy.
It has?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm sure you know, like Monaco's only Olympic medal, you could look this up because it's true, is in architecture. 1920 or 1924 for sure. That's a fact.
Ben, I told you, Ben knows some wild
That's
shit.
true for sure. Because I've looked at the tables for gold medals before. Not that it was a gold medal. I think it was not a gold medal.
That's their only medal?
Yeah. I mean, it's Monaco. They got like 7 people and they're all in Casino Royale playing James Bond in the poker scenes. Like it's not a real country.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
1924. Bronze medal for architecture at the art competitions.
Yeah, see, what did I say?
Although the medals for art competition are not included in the official tally.
Well, that's, potato. What can you do? Who the hell cares?
And there are only 7 competitors.
Well, again, it's poor. It's Monaco. You got to cut them a break.
7 competitors and they got bronze.
1924. Good Olympics, I'm sure.
Not bad. So they're 50th percentile of a sport that isn't a sport that doesn't count towards the Olympic tally. That's all they've ever gotten.
And that's probably all they'll ever get.
That's awesome. All right. Let's round out wide receivers here at the bottom. I'll still go back to Godwin, by the way. I think you mentioned it, but 64.
The secondary pieces for these teams, Godwin, like Gallup, DJ Moore.
I can't.
Okay. I'm more with you than not, but I looked at him quite a bit already and I haven't ruled it out, but it seems pretty dire.
I'd rather go to Romeo Doubs. I'd rather go to Joshua Palmer if Allen's out for sure. How much is more? Was he like 5,300 or something?
Yeah, he's in the low 49.
Oh, okay. He's getting down there. Still pretty similarly priced to some of these other guys. You know, the ones I wanted to ask you about, assuming San Francisco is still banged up, what do you make of, like, say you've got some expensive lineups. What do you make of a Sky Moore who's playing, 30% of snaps, but could get the lumbar, or Mecole Hardman who gets some deep opportunities, some red zone targets? We saw that last week. Any inexpensive Chiefs that could be in play for you in obviously large field tournaments?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about the Chiefs is you tap into touchdown equity, but it's so hard. Like MVS, he scored in the first quarter and it was a penalty, and then he finished with 0.
Mm-hmm.
It was a juju game, and it's hard to know. So you can do that. You can play roulette with the Giants receivers a little bit. Wandale looked pretty good. Jennings for San Francisco. These are names that I don't heat, but I have to have a reason that I go there. I'm not sure I really want to get too crazy.
All right, we'll talk tight ends here. Ghetto Farm Boy. Architecture doesn't sound like a great spectator sport. Yeah, how long does that take?
Maybe it's like sandcastles. Is that
Or you
not
like drawing up floor plans?
I don't know. Well, I'm not constructing. It's not like first one to build the pyramids wins. That's just stupid.
Well, you just said sand castles. And
well, that was dumb too. That was dumb
acting
too.
like my is ridiculous.
Well, I'm just saying.
And with like plastic toy buckets.
Yeah, I mean, that at least would make sense. Like you get an hour.
No, but I bet it's like drawing up floor plans.
So like a blueprint?
Yeah, it has to be.
I could win that. I design all sorts of crazy shit. I just never do it.
You think you could win that?
If they bring it back, I'll throw my hat in the ring.
Two parts. One, you design all types of crazy shit. Didn't know that. Two, I don't think you needed to tell any of us that you haven't built any of it yet.
Well, that's just that. I didn't know. I thought that guy implemented his architecture.
But how?
I don't know. Well, again, if it's a sandcastle, how hard is that? You just stack it up. That's why I said that.
That's a Monaco bronze medal in architecture. All right, in sandcastles. What do you build? What do you draw?
I don't draw anything.
You say you draw. You just said you do. Or is it all in your head?
Yeah, it's all in my head. What do I get to draw? What do you? How many shows I'm on? I got a lot of things going on. In my mind, though, I've thought of some very interesting ideas.
Like that one in Saudi Arabia that they're coming up with?
Well, I didn't think of that. That is kind of interesting, though.
Like 100 miles long, 6 feet wide.
Yeah.
With a 300-yard tall wall.
I had an idea, and this doesn't really make sense. So that's probably the caveat I should have started with. But an idea of like, credit card roulette, but it's like an airline. And so like one person, like you can fly on this, but there's a chance you have to pay for the whole flight. Like I would fly on that. That's kind of interesting. Or, and this again, doesn't make sense. It's called Zoo Taxi and then there's Zoo Airlines and one seat has poison ivy on it. And so like the seats are cheaper, but you might just have to sit in poison ivy. Now, again, I don't know why that would really make sense. There's no real point to that, but that's an interesting concept.
Is your flight comped?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I haven't really thought it out. Part of me says
that's so anticlimactic. There's no way to make money off that. Like
that's the
big
problem.
Reveal is someone itches real bad.
Again, this is why
this is insane.
I didn't implement that. There's something there. I just have to figure it out.
You have to be naked or on the seats. So
well,
I could just bundle up and wear gloves. So you haven't thought this through.
Again, what was the first thing I said? I haven't thought this through. There is something about an airplane with ivy all over it. And then when you get in, it's the stewardess are dressed up in like animal costumes. There is something to that. I don't know if you need the seats to be like littered with poison ivy. Again, that doesn't make a lot of sense when you really think about it.
That's the dumbest thing I've. So like they just like the stewardess is in a panda costume. There's a bunch of furries.
Yeah, again, it could encroach on furries, but there's again, I've said this 4 times. There's something there. I just have to cultivate it.
Jordan said same thing as Spirit Airlines. Yeah,
you're not wrong.
All right. Zoo Airlines. That is
and Zoo Taxi was a great idea. That actually should be.
What's Zoo Taxi?
It's just the same thing, except the driver is a pelican. You put the money in his beak. I'd do that. And it's like Cash Cab. They ask you questions, but if you get them wrong, your fare could be like $400.
No poison ivy, though.
No, that's ridiculous.
Okay.
Well, don't be crazy. I'm going to put that in the car.
All right. Tight ends. I don't know. I don't really want to pay $8,000 for $8K.
That's a lot.
Kelsey this week.
Between him and Andrews, it would be Andrews personally because I like Lamar more than I like Mahomes. What is
and you're more Andrews, he's not, Lamar's not throwing anywhere else.
Exactly. Huge target share. What do you make of Kittle with 10 targets last week?
I was going to say that in this particular, it's because they were playing from behind too, And Jimmy Garoppolo missed him on a wide open touchdown too. So could have been a huge game. I have some interest in Kittle this week. It could come back to burn us for sure, but I kind of like George Kittle this week.
I mean, I definitely see the appeal if he's going to be a little busier. Of course, Kyle Pitts finally scores in a game where he gets 3 targets. Gerald Everett's going to be an attachment to Herbert. A lot of people are going to go there. I totally get that. I don't really have a ton else. Evan Ingram obviously clawed to some 6 targets, and he wasn't terrible, but they're going to need to do more offensively for him to be relevant.
Tunyon's the most interesting to me at that price because 12 targets last game. I'm not trying to overreact, but Rodgers has to figure something out. And Tunyon was actually pretty good. I think he caught 10 of them. Yeah, that is it. Because Tunyon a couple years ago, before the injury, was actually pretty good. I have no problem with him this week. Again, I don't want to overreact. Like, this isn't a 100% play, but a guy that I'll have some of. Let me tell you what really makes sense to me. And I will say Gerald Everett's interesting, but I would need Keenan Allen out for sure. With Donald Parham back, there's already going to be some question marks there. That starts to get a little tricky. But lower tier, I'm going back to Cade Otton at 2,700.
It's one of the only guys down there that's part of first of all, they're a 11-point favorite. So that helps. I get it if you want to punt the position. I'm interested to see if anything else opens up down there. We seem to get, news more often.
Well, Brait was carted off the field. I don't think
he's not playing.
He's not playing. I don't think. It's like neck injury. No, not a concussion, but if that,
I just mean, will there be other min-price
right.
Will, I don't know, insert rant. Like if both the Washington guys are hurt.
Yeah.
What about last guy for me? Njoku, as again, you go Lamar, Andrews, and Njoku. You play the double tight end, and then probably just lose.
I think you probably look at Ferguson at sub 3K if Schultz is out again. All I'm saying is usually there's nobody even remotely decent down there at, below 3K. I think we have a couple guys that could get you there. Your 15-point fantasy game. I think it's possible.
I mean, at those prices, if you score, you're getting there. All you need is fall in the end zone.
Yep. All right. Let's wrap this up. Defense. We go 1 under 3K. We have some fun with this. And hey, almost at 100. We're 11 away from 100 likes. Again, I know it's basketball season, but it would be greatly appreciated. It only takes a second.
Do it for Zoo Air.
For Zoo Air. And remember, before we go and give you this defense, there's some really good low price defenses. MGM promo is in the description. You bet 10 on any NBA team to win. When you sign up using that link, put $10 in, you get $200 on the other side, no matter what. Team just needs to score a 3-pointer. It's a lock. Get free money there. Prize picks, up to $100 first match deposit bonus, and a free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. Links in the description. Jordan will throw all these in the chat right now. And of course, we have the 10 for 10 hardwood promo, where every single tool is available for $10 for 10 days. It's $1 a day. Big stuff happening right now. Take advantage of all of that if you haven't done so yet. Let's go with the defenses under 3K. Who do you got?
So I think most reasonable one would be the Colts, just because I can't really trust Tennessee. I think the crazy one is just the Seahawks. I know they're dirt cheap, but if he throws the ball 50 times, you just need to get a couple of lucky plays, and everyone's going to be stacking up Herbert. I don't hate that in contrarian builds.
I think the Jets against Denver are very much in play. 2,600.
I agree.
What about the Commanders against the
Packers? I knew you were going to say that. I mean,
they've been so bad.
I know. I'm so not used to being like Aaron Rodgers. He takes care of, he's not going to screw up, but they've been screwing up for sure.
Hey, PJ Strategy Show with Ben and Jeff Ulrich coming up at 1, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
NHL
minutes.
Strategy Show at 2. NBA Deeper Dive, first of the season with Josh and Adam at 5:30. Followed up, taking you up to tip. 6:30 live before log. Greg and Eric, we got you covered all day here. And remember, Odd Shopper channel, all your betting picks, everything you need. We got you every day of the week. We'll see you back here for the next one. Shout out to Jordan Klein for producing. Peace.